Cameron Leslie, welcome to Between Two Beers.
Thanks for having me.
Very excited to have you. And one of our sources suggested you might be a bit dusty this morning because there was a bit of a big event last night.
No, I'm a well-behaved older dog these days, mate.
Yeah. Okay. But what was it? Big announcement. You got named as?
At the Paralympic team farewell last night, named as the flag bearer, the male flag bearer for New Zealand, alongside Anna Grimaldi.
Yeah.
How awesome. Good. Yeah, really cool. Super humbling to be recognised as one of the co-matua and able to lead the team in and things like that. So, yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you knew that a couple of, what's the time period? You'd known that for a couple of weeks and you were sort of excited to share that with friends and family?
Yeah, really excited to sort of share it openly as well, because previously there's been maybe far out, maybe 6 or 7 people that would have known. Kept mum and dad in the dark, and they were there last night, and yeah, it's nice to sort of catch them off guard and give them a bit of a surprise, because they've been big supporters of my athletic career. I guess they've started me off and continue to be cheerleaders on the sideline the whole way through, so really cool to let them be part of a special moment like that, but also to see their raw emotion too.
Yeah, I feel like as well, we've spoken to a couple of previous flag bearers on episodes gone by, and I feel like it's amazing right now, but then when you actually get the opportunity and you're at the opening ceremony, maybe that excitement will ramp up another level?
Yeah, I think so. And Anna's really fun too. So like I was messaging her afterwards being like, let's do it with a smile on our face, laughter, and really, do the country proud and, lead the team well, but let's have fun while we're doing it. It's a big thing of mine to have fun whilst doing things.
Awesome.
It's interesting, the maturity angle, because I can't remember. We spoke to so many people in the build up to this. It was either your mum or your wife were like, Thursday morning you might be a bit dusty because I think there's a bit of a big occasion going on.
No, I definitely had a beer. And like, I know athletes drinking, there's all like on that stuff, but yeah, I'm a big fan of smelling the roses too. And if you want to have a drink with your parents to celebrate it, or with a mate or whatever it is, I was absolutely going to do that.
You mentioned you're the komatua now and like an old head in that room. Can you see the excitement of some of the first timers and the energy coming off them as well?
Yeah, we've got a few rookies. Actually, probably the paraswim team's got the most number of rookies. I think I need to double check that. But yeah, we've got a lot of rookies on the swim team, and it's really cool to see their excitement growing as each sort of layer of the Paralympic Games becomes more and more clear and their excitement grows. It's kind of cool to see. But their performance behaviours as well have grown with it. So they're growing as athletes as the excitement levels are growing too. So I'm hoping it's setting them up for success, but I guess like I've said to them, like, you guys are going to hopefully catch the bug after these games, and then come LA, you'll be in a place to really kick some ass.
Yeah, with you still.
Hopefully, maybe, don't know.
Yes.
We'll see at the end of this conversation.
We'll see how this body goes, eh?
This is the first time we've met, but we were in the same room together at the Halberg Awards late last year, and 2 things stood out for me. I thought you did the best speech of the night.
This year.
Yeah, February.
Early this year. Yeah. Look at me, getting my years mixed up.
That's okay,
It's been a big year.
Showing your age.
That's okay, man.
But I thought you did the best speech of the night, but it's interesting how perception is different from others, because like I said, your wife and your mum spoke about how you weren't expecting to win and you're a bit flustered, and the other thing I remember is that you mentioned your wife and kids about 3 times, I think, and there may have been an underlying reason for that.
Yep, definitely was caught off guard by it. I didn't even have a bloody tie on. Like, I was like, just go along for the enjoyment, like it'll be cool. There was a Swim in New Zealand table there, and just let's go and enjoy the night, really. And then to win it, because there's been years go by where I've had probably better performing years, and I just assumed that I wasn't going to win based off that. But I guess that's the thing, right? How does your achievement stack up to those others finalists? And that's the quirk that are awards ceremonies in general, right? So I always forget to appreciate Ems and the kids, and the sacrifice that Ems makes on behalf of our family too. So it's that'll be why I mentioned them 3 times, is to make sure I didn't forget them. And the thing is, it doesn't go lost on me. It's absolutely, she's the one who jumps on a landmine every time I hop on a plane and go away and compete and get all the sort of the enjoyable parts of sport. And she's the one who's at home in the trenches looking after 3 kids. What was 2, now 3 kids, and like anyone who's got kids under 5 or around that age knows it's an intense bloody time.
We had quite a entertaining back and forth with Tom Smith, who's the CEO of the Halberg Trust.
He says to say g'day too.
Oh yeah, big fan of the show. We love Tom. But he was saying, because he can't he knows who's won the award, but he can't let you know. And he had a bit of a text back and forth trying to encourage you to bring your family along, but he couldn't say too much. And then you sort of didn't bring them, and he's like, oh, maybe I should have said more.
Well, I gave him cheek. I was like, he's like, I text you, Cam. I was like, well, you text me last year too, and I didn't.
You talk about running a household of 3 under 5, and Emma holds the fort there. Did she have any input in the outfit for the night? Because Stephen and I, in the lead up to the Halbergs, had a lot of back and forth, particularly about footwear and whether boots were appropriate or not. But did she suggest a tie at all?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember now. I would have definitely gone like, what do you think, this and this or this?
Yeah.
And it would have been whilst there's something going on with the kids, and it'll be a 2-minute glance and be like, yeah, that'll be cool.
Well, Tom has described it as Northland or Whangārei black tie. He said a pair of pants, brown trainer shoe, collarless shirt and a jacket. He sent us a photo as well. I thought you looked good. But.
Yeah, I did too.
It's a bloody C-, right? Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We did some social stuff on the red carpet on the way through, and one of the angles we were trying to pick is whether there were kick-ons, because we'd heard from previous years that sometimes it can get quite raucous, but we ended up driving together in silence back to Hamilton. Did you manage to find any kick-ons in the night?
No. I walked back to the hotel. I went to sleep.
Yeah.
Very uneventful.
Pretty standard. Standard, I think, for most people that night.
Mm. How did the Halberg compare to the Laureus World Sports Awards? Because that was around a similar time, right? And that's the big one.
That was last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare them, right? You've got a global awards versus New Zealand awards, and you've got, top international A-class celebrities there versus our Kiwi A-list celebrities, and just so different. And just that whole experience was crazy, right? Like we jumped on a plane, flew to the other side of the world, and we spent longer traveling than we did actually on the ground in France. But just you jump off a plane, you head straight into a bunch of men in black looking people, put you in a car, take you off to the hotel, and then 2 hours later you're at a media conference, and then 2 hours later you're at a cocktail party with Sean Fitzpatrick running it, and it's just whirlwind, eh? But epic, like loved it. It was so cool.
Who was the biggest star in your eyes, Sean Fitzpatrick or Leo Messi?
Messi.
Yeah.
Messi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
No
you still
disrespect to Fitzy though.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little bit of shade on Fitzy. He's doing big things up there, right?
Yeah, he is.
Is he the big dog of that organisation?
Yeah, he's a good bugger too. Like he just the way he welcomed me and Ems, and he just enjoyed meeting some other Kiwis, and just talking a bit of shop, but talking Kiwi talk stuff too. So it's he's a nice guy, real nice guy. He made us feel super welcome, and we actually got him to sign an autograph for Emma's dad. It was his birthday whilst we were over there, so we got him to sign a happy birthday card for Chris.
You can't underestimate how big an achievement it is, because it's a global sporting awards, and I think you're only the second Kiwi to be nominated after Dame Sophie in that particular category.
Yeah, in that category. Yep, and Nicole Murray was not as nominated this year.
Oh, awesome.
There will be people listening to this who aren't aware of your achievements. So I'm going to sort of summarize them.
You're going to embarrass me. Gotcha.
Yeah, it'll be short. It'll be quick. So who is Cam Leslie? He blitzed to a shot gold medal and a world record time in the individual medley SM4 at the Beijing 2008 Paralympics, a feat he repeated at London 2012 and Rio 2016. In Tokyo 2020, you withdrew from the Games, which we'll talk about later. But then in 2022, you won a gold and 3 silver medals at the Worlds and set a new world record. You followed this up with 4 medals at the 2023 Worlds, which included gold in the 50-metre backstroke S4. This is as well as being the captain of the Wheelblacks and a bunch of other medals, which we didn't have time to mention. So I'm kind of painting that picture to ask you, it's 16 years of sustained success at the top. Like, what makes you different? How have you been able to hold that line and stay there consistently?
If I was to give a short answer to it, life balance, and recognizing and pivoting what's important at what time of your life, and giving your body the time it needs to recover, but also your mental side as well. I've always been really big on pinnacles, and you have some real decompression time, just to let yourself return to normality again. Not a fan of people who jump straight back into the gym the straight day after they've just won a gold medal, and they're like, yeah, no, charging on 4 more years, rah, rah, rah. Like, I can't stand that stuff because it's just not sustainable. You need time to let your body recover. You need time to let your mental space recover so that you can then put your best foot forward for that next cycle. And it might be 3.5 years. It doesn't matter however long you need to take to get yourself right, because you're about to jump into some bloody dark holes in training that you need to be fresh enough to withstand those dark holes and come out the other side and hopefully perform really well at the end of a cycle. Yeah,
dark holes are interesting. How many times do you turn up to the pool and think, fuck, I don't want to get in there today?
Most days. No, because I hate jumping in the water. I hate the coldness that you feel when you first jump in. A sports psych friend of mine, Rod Corbin, he was always giving me grief about, why are you a swimmer if you don't like getting in the pool? I've got no issue with the training. Like, I'm all good to put in a good hard session. It's not that. It's just the sensory side of jumping in the water that I'm like, oh, I'm nice and warm now. Why would I want to get cold? Yeah. But in terms of like dealing with a hard training, no issue at all. I know when a hard training's coming, and I'll turn up and make sure if I'm not handy, I'll make sure I can somehow talk myself into being a handy, or by the end of warm-up be ready to give it a bloody shot. But also understanding that come race day, you might not be feeling a handy, so you still need to get in and bloody do it.
Your coach, Simon Main, talked about a scale of being from 0 to breaking point. How often in a week are you towards that breaking point end of the training session? I get it; it's cyclical depending on where you are in terms of a competition. But how often are you redlining on a day-to-day basis?
Simon, former coach, so he coached me for a big chunk of my career. Tom Onley at Whangārei Swimming Club, he's my current coach. I give Simon grief. He's the young and improved version of Simon, I say. He's got more energy than Simon's got these days. Hard question. Depends on the session. It's so dependent, when it says max, I see max and I do max. Some people sort of always have that little half step back from max and they don't fully redline. But if you're asking for my best effort, I'll give you my best effort. It's the crux of training, right? There's no point turning up if you're not going to give it 100. That's probably something that Simon and I really connected on early into my swimming career. He was like, if you're going to turn up and not give 100, don't bother. But if you're going to turn up and give me everything you've got on that day, I will coach you till as long as you want me to. But he was very much expected that from me as an athlete, to turn up and give it everything that I have on that day. If you're not feeling up to 100%, doesn't matter. Still give it your all that you've got on that day. If you've got 80%, you give us all of the 80%. And that really resonated with me, because there were times where I didn't turn up the training because I was like, you know what, I will not be able to give you 100 today because I'm just not in the right headspace or physically or whatever it is. And I'd be very open with Simon about that. And I think it set us up for a really positive and constructive sort of coach-athlete relationship over a long period of time.
A lot of this podcast today is going to be born of curiosity. And it's kind of like, I've just got so many questions about things. It comes from a good place, but perhaps an ignorant place at times too. First one is about classification in para swimming. Like, what are the different levels and where do you sit on it, and how do you get graded on what classification you're in?
So classification in para sport, the whole idea is it's to create fair competition. So you're not having... it's just you're getting like for like, right? You're apples and apples racing, which is what you want. So classification works. There's 3 parts to it. There's got 1 to 10. S1 to 10 in swimming is physical impairment. 11 to 13 is vision/visual, I think they call it, and S14 being intellectual impairment. So 1 to 10 has the biggest spectrum on it. S10 being minimal impairment. S1 being your most severe impairment. I'm sitting at S4, so on that sort of mid to lower end of the classification spectrum, which sort of, I guess, says that my impairment would be sort of, I think it's deemed as high support needs. Like, you're on the higher impairment end of the scale. And then you're 11 to 13, 11 being total blind, S13 being someone with 660 vision, legally blind. 660 vision's to the generally easy way. What we would see with our perfect vision from 60 meters away, they would have to be 6 meters away to see that same thing. So that's your spectrum in the vision impairment. And S14 with intellectual impairment, there's only one class fits all for that one.
Is it really cut and dry? Like, are people trying to get into different...
It's not cut and dry at all. It's
got quite a complex, complicated system to figure out where you sit.
Yeah, very much so. Very complicated with it. And that's where some of your bigger nations sort of find a competitive advantage, is finding the way to argue someone's disability to push them into a certain classification. And there's people who I race who I can see arguments for them being in my class and it being out of my class. It's the same for all classes. Some are more highly populated because impairments will be more common. Your higher classes generally have more depth of field in them because it's to have someone who's lost a foot or a hand or has an impairment in one part of their limb is much more common than someone who would have it in all 4 limbs like myself.
Do you ever look across the lane and be like, what the fuck? How's this guy? This shouldn't be in my classification.
Oh, I think as I've become more educated in the classification space, I do less of that. And it's really hard because it's easy to just look on the outside and look at what someone's got and what you think you can see rather than actually understanding truly their impairment, because there'll be a major part of their impairment and then there'll be a minor part of their impairment, and you might not be able to see the minor side of it. You see a full hand that opens and closes, but you don't see the lack of strength in that hand. Things like that.
Wow, is it that intricate, the detail? And so you're S4. Are you S4 forever and ever? Amen. Like once you're put in a classification, is that?
I am, because I've been looked at and reviewed, and geez, I'm not going to grow any hands or feet, am I? So that's pretty set. What I am is what I am. Some people, depending on your impairment type, might be up for review every 12 months or every couple of years, very much dependent on age and your impairment type.
Man, that is so wild, the intricacies around that and how that's done. It's fascinating.
We're going to build into more swimming chat a bit later, but I want to sort of set the scene from Northland. Growing up, and is phrasing and terminology important to you? I've got congenital limb deficiency. Congenital limb deficiency. So born with it, you had 3 older siblings and they were all fully, what's the phrasing I should be using? They're all fully able-bodied and you were missing some limbs.
I'm not the bloody PC police here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very much more of the, if people are wanting to be curious and understand it more than you can't say the wrong thing. Like you're coming from a place of ignorance and wanting to learn, right? Like it's not you shouldn't be told off for that sort of stuff. But the way I describe it would be, I'm the youngest of 4. I've got 2 older brothers and an older sister who have all their limbs. I always stop short of saying normal, because what is normal, but also you spend time with each of them and you could probably find an argument to say, oh, they're not so normal. Everyone's perception of normal is different, right? So, they've got all their arms and legs.
When did you realise that you were different in comparison? Aside from do you have an earliest memory of realising that you were different to your siblings?
Oh, geez. I mean, apart from the obvious, when you look down and don't see legs and you look at them and they've got legs. If there was a moment, it would have been when I was at the Artificial Limb Centre here in Auckland and off Dominion Road, getting prosthetics, getting legs made for me. So that might have been it, and learning how to walk, for me was a very different journey to my siblings. And I guess that would be my earliest memory of sort of acknowledging that, oh, geez, I have to do things slightly differently to try and keep up or do as they do. But it's not like a poignant moment or anything like that.
Yeah. If everyone we spoke to spoke of the incredibly well-rounded person you are, and as a result of your parents not treating you any differently and your upbringing, you were just one of the kids. Anything you wanted to do, you would try and do, and you'd see if you could do it. And if you couldn't, you couldn't. If you could, you could. And we watched the Attitude documentary recently. I think that was from, I don't know.
When you were 21.
I was going to say there's some oldies there.
From when you were 21, but there was some really cool footage in it which helped kind of us see the journey. And one of the clips was that, I think it was until you were a teenager, you were on these little short stumps. And so your experience of the world was always being low and looking up to people. And then all of a sudden the prosthetics kicked in and you were on the same height as everyone. And that, it seemed like that was quite a big moment for you.
Yeah, very, I guess a very change in perspective, right? You go from looking at everyone's bloody crutch height to looking everyone in the eyes and you're like, oh, geez. I remember walking to school or come at school in my prosthetics and give my mate's cheek, being like, oh, geez, you're uglier up this way. When I talk to you, I might have to get back down on the ground. But yeah, very big change in terms of how to mobilize it, just around and navigate the community and school and everything that you do in life at that sort of age. But yeah, the perception and the way that you were perceived was changed so much as well. Less social awkwardness talking to someone who's at your height, might be on prosthetics, but less social awkwardness when you're face to face with someone rather than looking down at the ground towards someone, which was probably something that was really noticeable. Same thing goes when I jump from walking on prosthetics into a wheelchair. Like the way you are received, I feel is different. It's really interesting because you're just not used to talking to someone who's seated the whole time or whatever. It's just not how you normally would have a conversation in the street with someone.
Yeah, just on that. So I did some work with Northern Districts Cricket around disability adjustments to the sport and how you work that. And as a staff, we did some work around how you should interact with someone. And it was interesting around physically dropping yourself down so that you are having a conversation at eye level. Like, again, just an ignorance thing around how you should interact with someone who is different to you. We spoke to Emma as well about her experiences being alongside you for some of those conversations where you might be at an airport, for example, and they talk to her as if she's your carer or she's your...
I don't have a brain. Did you not know that?
Yeah, exactly.
But she has to speak for me.
Yeah, but that's it. I guess there's how often do you encounter that?
Depends on the context of where, but it's definitely been a common thing throughout life. Even traveling through Europe with my best mate Josh, right? He, same thing. They would always ask him, does he need a straw? I'm like, I've just ordered a bloody pint. Like, I think I can handle it, all right?
Yeah.
And Josh would look at them and go, I don't bloody know, ask him.
Yeah.
So quite often, and all different contexts, but airports is the super, super common one where they ask whoever you're traveling with about, oh, do they need an aisle chair, or are they okay to do blah blah blah? And it's like, well, I'm missing some legs, not my brain.
Yeah. It's I guess the first impression for someone that's not seen it before is that ignorance around it is it's definitely challenged my thinking, because I've been guilty of it. I know I've been guilty of it through my life, through my adult life as well, of seeing someone in a wheelchair and then immediately go, well, they must have an intellectual disability, versus you can just actually have a conversation or even just ask the question. Like,
some of the rugby boys probably do.
Have you always had this good sense of humour, this well-rounded sense of humour from a kid? Because it does seem like through chatting to your mates, you've got a really good group of your peers around you as well.
Yeah, big time. We've got a real awesome group of friends through sport and through school. We're a real tight-knit group, but it's funny because my schoolmates couldn't really give two shits about what I've done in the sporting world. I come home and we're just straight back into normal life. So it's kind of really refreshing to have that grounding group of friends like that too. And same thing goes with Ems. Like, she couldn't give two hoots about my bloody sporting career or anything like that. It's quite nice really, because she'll ask, and I know it's total lip service. How was training? It's like, you don't care about how training goes. You care that there's a baby over there who needs feeding or needs to be changed or whatever. But it's kind of nice. But in terms of the sense of humour side of things, I guess I've always been able to see the lighter side of life. I mean, there's so many things that I've done across the years that, geez, if you didn't laugh at it, you'd cry at it.
I've been watching you drink the water. Like, it's there's so many things that I just take for granted that you've obviously had to think a bit more critically about how you adapt and how you do that. It's, I don't know, I want to say it's inspirational, but I know that can kind of wind, like from a conversation that Stephen shared with me that he had, that can kind of wind you up, right? About just everyday tasks that us will look at and go, wow, that's amazing. And you're like, fuck, man, I'm just doing the shopping.
I'm just having some water, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no shit, I'm just having a drink. Like, fuck, it's yeah.
But I can totally understand where that thought process comes from, right? Because you're just not used to seeing, you'd never have thought, how could I drink a glass of water with two hands? Yeah. Should I try it with my two elbows together, or an elbow and a fist? Like, should I try that? Like, it's essentially how I'm doing it, but it's just normal for me, right? It's all I've ever known, and I think I'm very fortunate for having not known what it was like to have hands and legs to do stuff, because to try and relearn everything would be super challenging. And I've met people who have tried to do that or had to do that through an injury or some sort of traumatic event, and it is really bloody hard. And because your frustration will be doubled, because you're coming from a space of, it was as simple as glass, drink, down, done. Whereas I'm picking it up and going, oh shit, am I going to drop it? Oh, and I drop stuff all the time. Far out, what happened the other night? Last week, carrying the bloody dishes to the bench after we've had dinner, and I just slip over, bam, shatters everything. And Seamus is like, oh, that means I'm going shopping. But and I sit there, I'm like, sometimes it's really hard not to get annoyed at that sort of stuff. And it's like, I didn't choose to be born with a disability, but I've got it. And I've fallen over and I've broken all these plates and stuff. What can I do right now? And I'm like, there's nothing, it's done. It wasn't my fault. It just happened. Same thing with like, we bought me and Em's first house we bought, the guy had painted all the cupboards for it. We'd been in the house all of 15 minutes. I fell over in the kitchen and put my bloody knee through the cupboard, like gouged up all this freshly painted cupboard. I was like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have open cupboards. So we took the doors off.
I love that. Yeah, I had that convo with Jesse, and I love that he said, like, we got an inside joke and we're always saying to each other, oh, that's so inspiring. And it would be like you're in the supermarket putting some fucking stuff in a supermarket bag. Yeah. You're like, no, winning a gold medal, that is inspiring, but just like being alive is not inspiring. And, you know, I love the sort of the taking the piss out of it behind your back. And in the lead up to this, I was like, let's make sure we don't say he's inspiring. And the show's just gone out the gate.
I've gone out straight away with it. Well, you know, it is, yeah. I think it's a lazy trope to fall into, to see someone different from yourself and think, well, that's different to me and I couldn't do that. So that's an amazing thing that you've done, which listening to you speak about it is you've not known any other way. It's just how you do it. It's probably the same as I write a particular way because that's how I've always done it. It's not inspiring at all. It's just the way that I do it.
Nikita Howarth, she's an ex-para swimmer. She's retired a couple of years back. She's got like two arms like my short arm. And watching her tie shoelaces is probably the closest it ever come to be like, that's inspiring. But it's not. I was like, far out, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it is. Like, I think people are using the word inspiring, but really they are sort of tipping their hat being like, that's pretty cool.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to save it anyway. But back to school. So I'd heard that you had this good group of friends that sort of wrapped around you, and you had a really good transition from like primary to intermediate to high school. So everyone kind of, you know, knew your whatever differences you had. But was there, like, do you remember other kids treating you differently? What was that like?
There were definitely times of bullying, and some of it I was privy to, and others that weren't. I've got a vivid memory of being year 7, Form 1 for the oldies. Year 7, and these kids are picking on me, and like me and my friend group were sort of going back at them, but they were like, we're year 7s, right? You're the entry level when you're at year 7 to 13 school. And I remember vividly going and getting my brother and his mates to come and sort of give them a bit of a tickle up and a bit of playground justice, and none of it happened after that point. But bullying definitely happened to me. You can't, like, kids can be horrible, really. And I look back now as an adult and like going into daycare with the kids and stuff like that, it's totally coming from a place of curiosity and sort of not socially aware enough to word it the right way. I don't think it's coming from a nasty place. It's just they don't know what to do or how to react in that situation, and they're going for a state the obvious sort of think it's funny sort of thing. But it's it definitely happened, and I'm just lucky they had a good friend group and like brothers and sisters who could take care of the boys or the girls, and who were saying mean things or whatever it might have been. But yeah, by and large, pretty lucky. But I think it definitely was help from being in a smaller town, smaller schools, and like you say, that segue from primary into intermediate into high school, and not I guess not having to re-explain yourself. When you've been at a school a few years, people sort of understand what you are capable of, or whether they should be worried or not about how you're going to navigate a certain situation or whatever.
And what was the connection to sport? And I want to sort of draw you to when you were about 11 and you started getting into swimming in the pool. But did you see sports, and was it a matter of, can I do it? I'll try and do it. If I can't, I can't. Or, you know, how did you approach the things you got into?
My siblings don't get a lot of sort of I don't really talk a lot about them in terms of the part they played in my athletic career, but I think I grew up on the sidelines watching them all play their sport of choice, and like it was just part of our normal life as a family. Saturday sport, very just classic Saturday sport. You know, everyone was doing something, and I think their role modeling to me of doing sport normalized that as a desire for me to go and do. So I don't think it started from a place of like, I want to go and set the world on fire. It started from a place of, I just want to be like my family, and find my place. And swimming's like, I remember there was a couple of after school cares that, it was CCS back then, but like today's version would be Parafeds. They ran like an after school program that was, I don't even know, it was every day. It was like one day a week or something like that. And they went through each term just doing different sports. And one time around, we got into swimming. Like swimming was something that they offered, and they teed up with a swim school, and went along and they taught you learn to swim. And the idea was you started in this small specialist school pool or private pool, and then you moved into the mainstream pool, and then you would there, if you wanted to, you could progress into a club. And so this swim school had a connection from learn to swim into pre-club into club. So it was kind of like the schooling stuff all over again of segueing and transitioning into each of those spaces with a good handover from teacher to teacher. And I think I just felt free in the water, because every time I tried athletics or throwing or something like that, like you're trying to hold a shot put with half a hand and you're trying to launch it and it falls out the back of it and it just gets bloody annoying, and you're sitting there going, I know I can send it more, but it just wasn't vibing with me. Running, bugger that, too bloody slow. I'm not a runner. And swimming was just the sport that made me feel free. I felt very normal in the water, right? Very, very capable, which was probably what really resonated with me. That sense of freedom and the ability to progress myself around at the speed I wanted to all of a sudden became an option, whereas previously I'd always been restricted by prosthetics or access or whatever the environment was putting around me. That was always a limiting factor, but in the water that wasn't the case.
Was it also, did you start being faster than your peers and being better than them at something? Was
over 2 lengths, yes, but over 1 length I'd always bloody beat you. Turn around and come back
on the second.
Yeah, and all the rugby players would be sucking gas and bloody 30 metres in.
And I've heard that there's a sort of an anecdote about a swim teacher or trainer who, you know, said something to you which perhaps has been a bit of a motivating factor.
Yeah, early on it was, and like we're rewinding here to like 2000, right? So we're talking a good sort of 25-ish years ago that these conversations and mindsets were in place. A swim teacher, or she was coach, says that, like, pretty much went to go and try out at the club and was pretty much focused on everything I couldn't do rather than what I could do, and just the delivery of it was really bad. And like I was a chubby 11-year-old, 10-year-old, I resembled more of a beach ball than an athlete at that age of my life. And I guess just the care and consideration towards someone of that age, and you throw an impairment in there as well, where you're going to have some either body image or going to have some sort of awareness to your physical state. And there was just no real like care towards that. It was all focused on what I couldn't do, and it was like bilaterally breathing and like drill, like such minor things that I look back now and go like, it doesn't even matter. Like, you're talking to someone with a disability. Yeah, I've got one long arm and a short arm. I'm probably not going to bilaterally breathe. Like, use your brain. Like, no, it's probably not going to be what you would teach someone like that to do. So it definitely proved a bit of a motivator. It's sort of, I'm a bit of a sucker for proving people wrong. So, and Mum's definitely done that to me over the years. You know, poked me with, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah,
and
very deliberately.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I guess that's really like, I like proving people wrong. So I took great pleasure in going back and seeing that coach and showing them my first gold medal and being like a bit of an up yours. So like, you told me to quit years ago and I didn't, and look at what happened. And there's been people like even since then, they're like, or even before my first gold medal and pretty close to the games itself, who were like, you should probably quit swimming and go into wheelchair rugby, and just didn't really believe in me. There's a lot of people who didn't really believe in me early into my swimming career. Like locally, lots of people wanted to support you and stuff like that. But when you get into the performance pathway, I can see why. Like, I hadn't done the performance markers or done enough to really flag myself as a true medal contender.
There's a phrase that Simon uses, which he claims is yours, which is just chipping away. Mm-hmm. And was it a case of that from those early years up until Beijing, of just chipping away at performance sport?
Yeah. And some of that's like understanding like your periodization, you know, and particularly if you haven't worked lots in different zones, you're going to have to chip away because it's going to feel like crap at the start, and you've just got to keep chipping away because you get to the other end of it, 3 months later, and it's easy. It's nothing, or not nothing, but like you're comfortable in that uncomfortable space. We also use the chipping away with Simon around, like just trying to get him to break.
Psychological warfare.
He loves people being on time, so we used to like see how long we could sit poolside and just sort of like chit chat. He'd be sitting there, buddy, fretting away.
Yeah,
winding up.
Yeah.
You were still at high school, right, when you win that first gold?
Just left.
Just left, right? Okay. Because that's still very tender in years to win a gold medal. and then to continue at that height after you've left the comfort of home and moved to university?
That first leading into Beijing was quite a bloody funny year, really. Like, small town boy, right, living in Whangārei, heading off to university. Me and my best mate jump in my crappy 84 Ford Laser Subaru blue spray painted. Yeah, you open the door and you see the sort of the ugly brown that it was. You shut the door, heading to central Auckland to stay, right? And I'm thinking my first car, my $500 car is going to be bloody fit on in, and you're driving down. Me and my mate got our raincoats on because the bloody sunroof leaked. And we get down to central Auckland, you look around, you go, all these cars are flash, eh? And here I am, parking this piece of shit in bloody central Auckland, unloading, going into this flat. And life was so different. And your first year uni, you're trying to, and at that point I wasn't like I say, I'd represent New Zealand, but I wasn't odds-on medal chance. I rock in, wanting to have fun first year uni, and you're trying to straddle that line of going and training with Simon, new training environment. You want to put your best foot forward. You've got 4 months until the qualifying opportunity. And so you're getting stuck into training, and then you're getting stuck into everything that first year uni brings with it. It was really bloody hard to try and find that social training balance. At definitely times I didn't quite get it right, but yeah, that's what first year uni is about in my eyes a little bit. The people can be quite harsh on athletes who are first year uni, but I go, far out, man, like, you've got to let them be kids at the end of the day too. So heading into that, no one believed that I could do it. I hadn't done the qualifying time. I still had to take like 6 or 7 seconds off to actually meet the time. Fly to the other side of the world, never done long haul before. Meant to have a heat and a final. Oh, wait, there's not enough competitors, so we're only going to do a final. So you get one shot at it. I was like, oh, Jesus, a little bit nervous, but Simon was really big on, like, just pull the trigger and do it, send it. You've pretty much done it in training. Just send it. It was bloody good. We were all like 3 seconds under. So we had to make up 6 seconds. I think we made up 9 seconds.
Yeah, okay. You're kind of underselling it. Like, these are huge. Good call, man. These are huge, like, times. Not that I know anything about swimming.
You're a swimmer. You do swimming.
But you're 6 seconds short of the qualifying time, and then you go and set a new world record and win gold.
Like, that was 4 months later, 5 months later. But again, still, we made up 16 seconds in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
So that's pretty pretty unheard of,
especially if you're smashing piss and chasing chicks as well on every weekend.
I guess that was part of the raw product that I was when I moved to Auckland. A lot of potential, but no real training, like specific training stuff behind me. I'd done hard training, but not for a medley. And so that's the point of difference that Simon brought, is that we went to our first World Champs where I hated it. I came like 8th and 9th the whole time, which actually, if I had a rookie swimmer coming through these days who came 8th or 9th, I'd be pumped for them. But I wasn't real happy. And after the event, we identified what was going to be the week event, and we were going to make that our bitch. And so we watched all of the races of my classification, and we were like, that medley race, no one specializes in it. They are all average freestylers, average backstrokers, and they throw a leg of breaststroke in. Like, we specifically or strategically chose that race to be what I was going to be as a shot at making a Paralympic Games. And so in doing that, of course, you come through all this, and anyone who teaches someone with a disability understands the modifications that you do, and it might not be as pretty or as like textbook around how you would do breaststroke. My breaststroke's well out the gate. It's more like dolphin dive than breaststroke, really. But me and Simon started sort of, going through that process of understanding what was going to be the most effective and efficient way to swim that stroke, because it was a stroke I'd never done before. And that is where all that time came from. So from the time of racing to the time of, in the qualifier to racing at the Paralympics, we'd done a whole lot more trial and error, figuring out how I was going to turn, how I was going to get through the water better. It wasn't all to do with conditioning. Some of it was, but some of it was to do with around what was the things that we can change that makes you faster without having to training differently.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's a really complex coaching method, right? Because if you're an able-bodied coach, everyone's got the same. You've got different equipment, finding the way to optimize it. And
this is where curiosity and disability are beautiful partners, because Simon was super curious. I had a disability, and I had like I liked to live life, right? I was someone who had an opinion on how to do stuff or how I thought I could do something. So when we met together, it created something really cool and essentially set us both up for success. Yeah, we've had a long time together, really, nearly 20 years of being around each other, and yeah, we still get on super well. But that combination of us met each other at the right time for both of us to create what has been my essentially sporting career.
And outside of the two of you, I imagine there's another cast of characters of people that are supporting as well. Like, how wide is that support network to optimize you even now?
Yeah, it is. And that's where like your friend groups and your siblings and just normal life can be super refreshing for someone like me who lives in a space that you're constantly critiquing yourself and your trainings are either hard or you're not. Like there's just always something that's big in your brain but actually minor in real life. So it's really nice to be around people who just live real life, very normal way of life that has always really helped hit reset on me. So something that might have been bugging me after a gym session on the drive home, you get home and it's gone. Or you go, whether it be to school or whether it be to university or whether it be to home life now, like that is a common thing that's been throughout my whole career is you're surrounded by just normality where, high performance stuff doesn't really wash at home.
Yeah, I don't know whether
high performance preciousness does not wash at home.
Yeah, true. But I don't know how normal it is, like to win a gold in London, then party around in a limo, then send a message to 660, end up partying with them behind the scenes in Berlin, and have the Sony rep fall in love with you and not sign the band. True story.
Yep. It was bloody. Yeah. It was really cool. There's some epic times after London. It was just so much fun. My sister was living over there, so we had a bit of a crash pad, and me and mate Josh just sort of made up a bit of a wish list, and we'd just go and have fun. And yeah, 660 and partying with 660 was awesome. They were just a bunch of good buggers, right? And this is 2012, right? They hadn't quite hit the level that they are today, and they're just real good dudes. Here I am traveling with my wheelchair and getting them jumping in it, had my gold medal, and they're chucking around having some photos with it, and I'm teaching them how to do wheelies on chairs, and really cool. Like nice for them to sort of have a bit of a normal Kiwi experience when they're on the road like that as well. But it's really cool. Like very different performance to like what you see nowadays. They're just in a dingy bar in Germany. Really, it was real humble. There wasn't much going on there.
Was there another quirky celebration after Rio 2016 with a Skittles packet and some smuggled whiskey?
Smuggling some whiskey in through a Skittles packet and cigars on a balcony.
Yep. I'm someone who likes to sort of. You look back and you want to make sure you've smelt the rose and enjoyed it. And I think Rio was probably like London. I was a good boy. I didn't sort of party until I'd fit. Well, not you party during a campaign anyway, or like during a comp. It was. I look back and I go, I've done some really cool things, and what have I actually done to sort of just take a moment and appreciate that? So Rio was my big thing of like I want to be able to win a gold medal or whatever my performance is. I want to be able to sit on a balcony with a mate, have a drink of whiskey and have a cigar or whatever it was, and just, I guess, pause for a moment and appreciate all of the hard work that's gone into that, and then be able to hit reset and move on. I think I still had one more race after my Rio race, but like again, the medley was my bitch. That was my race, and then the others were sort of bit part ones that you're chasing a personal best and like probably a top 6 finish would have been a big success for me. But the medley was the one that I really wanted to target, and I really wanted to sit back, and particularly Rio. I know that was the fastest I ever could have gone. Like looking back now, I still cannot pick what I could have done differently that would make any change in time. And I watch it and I go, oh, there's a little bit too much head movement in the freestyle. Like, yeah, maybe. But is that going to make a difference to the time? Minimal. And I could, sit hand on heart and go, that was the fastest I ever could have gone in that race, and make peace with it. So it was really satisfying to be able to sit there with Jesse and have a little drink and just take a moment, really.
What a feeling. Yeah. That's it, eh? That is the gold.
And I think it's fascinating to hear you talk about how, and I use this term a lot now, but how granular you must get in the training in terms of shaving those, in terms of that performance. Like, hearing you say, oh, you'll watch it back and look at your head movement and stuff like that, which
so tiny, right?
Right, and but also when you're in a high performance event like that, you've got to be in a state of flow, I guess, as well. So to have to think through the or do you go into autopilot because you've trained it so much?
Oh, a bit of both, eh? Yeah, like very much autopilot for a lot of the racing I've done, because it is so ingrained, and you've tried to repeat and hit the stroke rates and the timings of everything, particularly in a medley race where you've got parts of the race that you were going to target and parts that you were going to sort of not be conservative, but it wasn't an area of the race that you were going to attack 110% because that wasn't your strength. You had to do enough to be in the right place to then attack the other parts of the race that were where you were going to make the difference. I've forgotten the question now.
It wasn't really a question. It was more just around the balance of being being so concentrated that when it is over, that you do let your hair down and you do enjoy yourself and you do celebrate that win because you've worked fucking hard to achieve it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long time to get to that point too. And geez, I've barely raced in medley since then. It's kind of nice to hang your hat on that and go, that's my line in the sand. And since then, my world record's been beaten in that race. So I'm like, well, I wasn't the best there ever was, and that's cool. That's sort of the point of world records. They are there to be beaten. And hopefully people coming through these days aren't as ignorant as what I was. I didn't even know what the world record was until I beat it. That's how shocked I was to be winning a gold in Beijing.
Yeah, on that, gold out of nowhere. Are you an emotional guy? I spoke to your mum about how emotional she got when you won the gold, or all of your medals. But that one in particular, that first one kind of out of nowhere with, she must have just been so proud of you. Did it come pouring out of you?
Oh, I think I was still on a high. I was on a massive just high of like, how the hell did that happen? Just surprise. Like I wasn't overcome with tears. The emotion really was just joy. There's a saying that your first gold medal is 90% joy, 10% relief. Absolutely the case. And then for the medals that followed, particularly in the medley, it was the flip, 90% relief, really? 10% joy, which is really sad, I think, and that's just the pressures of high performance sport, and potentially in New Zealand in a smaller environment, the expectations get put on you and you want to perform. But then when the expectations start becoming a narrative into training and stuff like that, that's what I've got no time for it all. We had to, Simon and I, distance ourselves from people who were bringing in those expectation chat poolside, and you're like, fuck off, man. Like, we just want to do our thing to the best of our ability, and whatever the result is whatever the result is. Like, absolutely, we're chasing gold. We're not turning up to bloody lose. But yeah, that relief for those other medals never quite, the joy of those other medals never quite matched the joy of that first one. So I could totally understand why Mum was that one probably in particular. And like, I'd told them not to come. I was like, don't bother. Like, I won't do any good. Like,
seems like you got a bit of form with that.
I was like, I won't do any good. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they should not listen to me when I say this.
Which don't come to the Paralympics. Don't come to Paris.
Which makes it even more impressive, the dedication to your craft so many years later, when there probably is a weight of expectation from some quarters for you to deliver and to perform. I think that's not a question, that's an observation. But is that the case?
I'm a bit long on the tooth now to really even hear the expectation stuff, because it's coming out more and more, right, with like athletes. It's essentially some athlete well-being and like stuff like that, right? The athlete has to want it. And if it's enough to be supported, it's enough to be supported. Like, I'm chasing podium. I'm sure in meetings higher up, there's chat of the colour of the medal that I should be getting or they want me to be getting. But in my head, I'm chasing a podium. I can't control what colour that is. I can have a goal and that's my goal. But yeah, whatever happens on race day will be whatever the colour of the medal is, or no medal. And that's fine. It's just being okay with it. And I've totally made peace with it. I've had a successful sporting career. I've given it my best. I'm still giving it my best. And whatever it's good enough for is whatever it's good enough for. And that's part of like what motivates me this time around, right? For the kids, I don't want them to see me bloody in tears because I got a bronze medal or something like that. That's not me. Some people would bend over backwards, and I've got really good friends who their best ever finish has been a bronze medal, and they're over the moon. And I don't want to take away from those sorts of things. I'll still be happy if it was whatever colour the medal is.
So
if I get one.
Yeah. So alongside this swimming career, you're also co-captain of the Wheelblacks, and we've got a bunch of cracking stories from Rob Hewitt to get into soon.
Yeah, there's a lot actually.
But before we do, how does that work in parallel? When did you get into the Wheelblacks scene, and was it ever seen as this could be detrimental to your swimming?
When did I get into wheelchair rugby?
I can tell you because I got it in my notes. Yeah. Have a go day in 2007.
I feel like the Have a Go Day might even been earlier, but so I was traveling to Auckland once a week with my dad to go to Auckland training in 2007. So I think I'd finish school like half an hour early. We'd be on the road at bloody 3 o'clock to make a training at 6 o'clock. Training was 2 hours, then we'd turn around and come home. It was like quite a bit of commitment now, really. When I look back, if there was someone who was traveling 5 hours to go to a training, I would be hats off to them. That's pretty impressive. That's where the love came from, right? The Have a Go Day really sparked something with me. But also how real they were. And this is where like parasport is unique in some ways. Your impairment can help you choose the most competitive sport for you. You might not even know about wheelchair rugby, but if you've got 3 or 4 limbs affected by some sort of impairment, whether it be weakness or limb loss, you're eligible for wheelchair rugby to play at an international level. I didn't know that. And so this Have a Go Day comes along and I've got Curtis Palmer in my ear giving me grief about coming and playing wheelchair rugby. So I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Let's go and like give it a crack. And we came down, had some fun, did a season here, and there was a development team that was traveling to Aussie, and it sort of just started from just a wanting to get involved in something different. And that's, like I say, like it was at a point where I hadn't done enough in swimming to be seeing that as a viable sporting career yet. Or not like in terms of chasing a podium. The Wheelblacks at that time were coming off the back of a gold in 04 Paralympics, and they were at their height, at their peak. And I wanted to experience that environment.
Swimming's quite a lonely sport. Like a team sport coming into that environment, that must have been quite mentally refreshing for you as well, to be sharing wins and losses and a changing room with a group of other guys.
Totally right. Swimming, you fuck it up. It's all you has to put your head on the pillow at night time. In a team environment, you can share that amongst the squad. It's never just one person's fault for a loss in the sport, or in a team sport, right? Very different sports. In the swimming team, we've created some really good sort of like the team outside of the water. We're doing lots more like shared sessions and stuff like that now, which is really cool because it's bloody helpful when someone else is going through the pain as well.
All right, so Rob's given us 7 yarns to work through. The first one really made me laugh.
Can I preface Rob's yarns with Cherie Harris?
Oof.
So Cherie, and I'm just going to read her quote because I think this sets up the Wheelblacks stories, fact or fiction. Let's see. Cam is certainly a character, and in the wheelchair rugby world, we have many stories, but not too many are for public consumption. I'm sure he'll regale you with stories of travelling with the team, the global respect for the Wheelblacks off the court, the celebrations that literally spill out of closed doors, and the camaraderie that makes the sport so special. So with that in mind, can you tell us first, before we go into the stories, just a little bit about the team culture and maybe the T Club?
Special team, right? The Wheelblacks. The way that we operate as a team is a team who has fun while we're playing a pretty cool sport. Other teams worldwide look at us and they just go, how did you create this environment where we are literally all friends? Like we would all go have a beer with each other by choice after a competition. We're not being forced to do any of this. We catch up so much away from the sport. We don't always talk sport. There's so much friendship that comes from it, all coming from a really unique, impairment type, right? Everyone's pretty bloody disabled who's in the wheelchair rugby team, and we all live pretty independent lives too, which is what I think is pretty impressive. Cool group. Tea club. Everyone in wheelchair rugby loves a good cup of tea. They're all bloody cold most of the time. So here I am, a bloody sweaty beast, and they're bloody charging the aircon in their car. It's like a sauna, and I'm like sweating bullets. They're going, fire out, man. Can we turn the window down? The tea club started from essentially just a bunch of us, like 3 of us who really liked cups of tea, and we'd just catch up and talk a bit of shit, and we'd just make tea for each other, really. Very cultured. Appreciate the fine. Yeah, exactly. Very cultured.
Very cultured. I'm not sure whether some of these stories are very cultured, but Steve, take it away.
Do you sometimes play jokes on people who are inquiring about, how you've lost your limbs? And is there one with a flight attendant that was particularly good?
Hey, I'm going to preface this with I'm the innocent party in this.
Okay.
So this is a trip to Asia Oceania competition over in South Africa. Actually, the last time the Wheelblacks beat Australia was at that trip, so we're about 2013, I want to say. A long time ago now. But anyway, me, Rob and Gav, TJ, we stayed on afterwards for go cage diving with sharks. And so there's 2 parts to this, right? And this is bloody Gav and Rob. They're naughty boys, them. A little bit naughty. And we go out, do the cage diving, and putting a tetraplegic into a bloody So a wetsuit was a hard enough task to get started. So the day was started on bloody giggles. They're bloody pushing along in their wheelchair, looking like a bit of cardboard squashed in there. So I can't move my arms. Anyway, we do the cage diving. It was epic. Bloody shit your pants sort of stuff. Like it was so cool. Anyway, we're going in the van ride back to the city, and we hop out, and because Gav and Rob are in chairs, hopping in their chair in a van, not real easy. So me and Jamie jump out, and we head in to grab a box of beers, coming back out, and hop in the car, and everyone's like, "Far out, man, you're amazing." I was like, "Cool, cheers."
So inspiring.
And I'm like sitting there going, I'm just going to ride this out. These lads have definitely set me up with something here. And they're like giggling away. Anyway, turns out they had told the whole van that today was I'd lost my limbs to a shark attack. And today, cage diving with the sharks in South Africa was my first time in facing sharks since.
It's such a good gag.
It's a really good gag.
I've got no bloody scars on me. I don't know how people believe this. But yeah, so we get on the plane ride home, and there's this fabulous air hostess who'd been amazing, right? He'd been just full of bloody beans and laughing with us. I fall asleep, and these lads tell him, and he's just buying a hook, line and sinker that we'd been to South Africa my mate over here, he's lost his legs and he really wanted to go back and face great whites, so why not come to the home of great whites, South Africa? And they're feeding him the story of me getting attacked by sharks, and it was me facing my fears. And I wake up, and he comes up to me, and he's like hugging me, and he's like, "Oh, you are amazing! The strength that you must have." And he was all into it. I was like, "Did these boys tell you that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "They're full of shit." And he's like dark on them, and he did not help them at all for the rest of the flight. It was so funny.
God, that is so
Fun
good.
and games with the French team in terms of cable ties and an apparatus.
Yep. There's on that same trip actually, there was a set of nuts that you bought from a shop. There's just a big old pair of balls. So we got this pair of balls, and we were going around the French team, and we're doing a training camp with them and heading into Worlds, and we snuck on over before they turned up and cable tied up these nuts onto this guy's chair, turned it around, so he comes, jumps into his chair, gets ready to start playing. He's pushing along, and you just hear this big old slap behind his chair, and it's his big pair of nuts slapping his chair. And the French team are crack up, so they all loved it. And he's like, "Oh, can you take it off?" He doesn't have very good arms, so he's like, "Can you take it off for me?" And they're like, the team mechanic, he's like just taped them up. So he played a warm-up game with us with this pair of nuts taped behind his chair. Got rid of the slapping sound, but he kept the nuts on for a while.
Good. Rob Hewitt is delivering.
Yeah.
I've got no idea where any of these are going, but he says, "See if he'll introduce you to Bernie."
Oh, Bernie. This is Bernie. So if you draw like a set of eyes on there, so it looks like a little bit of eyes in a mouth, or eyes in a nose and a mouth underneath. Yeah. So Bernie becomes my little naughty sidekick when we're overseas, and the boys we always get to the airport. They're like, "You got Bernie out? Is Bernie coming?" So we'll sometimes draw eyes on him just to have a bit of a gag. I've got a couple of photos of Bernie having a beer. And it's a cool, a bit of an alter ego, Yeah. If anything's bad happens, it's definitely Bernie's been involved. It's not Cam, it's Bernie.
Yeah.
I think the last four concern me because he put no context around them whatsoever. Sexy cat?
It's just nothing to it. Just having a laugh, walking along on all fours, pretending to be a cat between our...
Oh, no!
We were in Japan. Hey, I was doing the high performance behaviours. I was going hot colds.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. In between, there was just beautiful little wall. I was like, oh.
I can see the face.
Yeah,
I can see into the character.
Yeah, it's nice. Any video of that around or any?
No, because there was a lot of nudity in that changing room, so there's no camera work on there.
Very good. The trifecta?
Oh, no, we can't go there.
Okay. Very good.
Progressively getting worse.
Very good.
I wanted to move into perspective, and we sort of spoke about this earlier, but I want to give it a little bit more depth, is that, when I was talking to your wife, Emma, she sort of said towards the end, and it's something that me and Shay sort of resonated with, is that, she used to automatically think that when she'd see men or women in wheelchairs, that it was intellectual disability. And there's not that there's anything wrong with intellectual disability, but it was just, that was kind of where her head was at. And I think subconsciously after talking to her that I think perhaps I was the same, and it's hard to sort of think about now when we're talking to you. But do you feel that we're in a good place in New Zealand with the way that we treat our disabled people and athletes?
We've come a bloody long way, that's for sure. When I look back to some of the experiences I had as a starting out athlete to now, massive change in a positive way. So I think we've made good progress in the sporting space, but in the societal, like in public, I don't think we're terrible. Like, I think we do a pretty good job, and we're here talking quite openly about disability, and we're like unapologetically being like, hey, I'm probably going to say something wrong, but it's coming from a good place. There's no malice. I think that's Kiwis in a nutshell, right? There's still probably some older heads around that don't quite see someone living with a disability on the same like level playing field as a non-disabled person. And that's generational change, right? And I think we're seeing more and more young people today be more and more inclusive and see past disability, which I think is really exciting for our future as a country, but just for those who are growing up with a disability as well.
And talking with your friends, sorry, Steve, and talking with your friends as well, and we saw video of it today, looking back, like the advances in technology even from when you were a kid to where you are now. I think your original legs, there was no bend in them.
No, straight, yeah.
Straight, like you had kind of peg leg moving around versus now a knee and all of the technological advances that make things so much easier. And the removal of barriers, to public spaces and things like that. Like I was conscious before you came in thinking, what's the maneuverability? And then I was like, oh no, fuck, he's on prosthetic legs. We've had William Pike in here as well. It's exactly the same thing. But I think even the process of having that thought, I think is a good step forward in being like, well, no, you don't just assume everybody's all exactly the same.
Yeah, the technology has been awesome, and like universal design, big fan of it. I'm a Toyota brand guardian, right? And they don't even know half of the things that are in their vehicles that are actually mobility things, like opening a boot, pushing a button, the button open. Like technology has moved forward. Boom, seat warmer. You got sore back. It's going to make you, like I've noticed, it's bloody helps my back. But the simple things like the boot is such a good example of something that is mainstream that people think is bougie. But actually, if you've got a disability, it's bloody helpful. The little short legs I get around on when I'm at home, I can't reach the boot when it's up there, but there's a button inside the car or on the remote to shut the boot for me, so I don't have to go and ask for help. Like things like that are just part of mainstream stuff now that are really helpful for people with disability is only going to help the world be more accessible for us. I love universal design. There's some really cool and quirky like staircases over in France and stuff like that zigzag through it. You stand at the bottom, look up, looks like a set of stairs, but actually there's a ramp cut into it, and so each of the steps it tapers down to meet the ramp. It's like, it is really cool, and it's council gradient, sort of like easy to push up, and it just zigzags up the set of stairs. It looks really cool, but it's universal design. Same with bathrooms, a bit of open space, bit extra space. Everyone likes a bit of open space. No one wants to walk into a toilet and can't fit through the bloody doorway. So if you're doing it slightly bigger anyway, it's suitable for wheelchairs, bloody Zimmer frames, all sorts. We talk disability, but age brings it as well. But we don't talk about our aging population as disabled people, the aging population, right? Or people with disabilities. My mum will kick my ass calling it that.
How do you feel about being a sort of a spokesperson for people with disabilities? Like, we've got you in here and we're asking these probing questions about stuff. Like, would you prefer it if we didn't talk about it, or do you feel that there is a responsibility for your platform to sort of bring these issues to light?
I think it's twofold for me. Like a little bit of a responsibility in terms of, I guess, encouraging people to do more, but also, applauding people when they've done well. But also, it's for you guys, you've got a time sitting here with someone with lived experience that you'd love to sort of get curious and ask some questions about it and understand it from someone who's lived it their whole life. People might break a leg or break an arm or have some sort of injury that puts them in a wheelchair or whatever it is, and they float in and out of that space, and they get a snapshot of what it's like to live with some sort of physical challenge or some sort of intellectual challenge, whatever it might be. But you don't often get to sort of draw knowledge from someone who's lived in that space their whole life, and for someone who's lived by and large in a non-modified world, really. Mum and Dad never did anything special to homes or modified anything. It was very much like you're expected to try and figure it out. And yeah, we've come a hell of a long way now in terms of there's nothing special in our house specifically for me. There's a few handrails that were there when we bought it. That was just handy, but I don't like need it. It helps, yeah. But could I do it without it? Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you just get on with it.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, you're very effective in the space because of your sort of realness. And we had a convo briefly before we came on air. There's a little bit of controversy about the Paralympic social media channel, and they're kind of creating incredibly engaging viral content, but is it like, well, are people laughing at the athletes or are they laughing with them? And you talked about like someone coming to you for comment and you're like, I don't really, like, I'm not offended by it. I don't really care. Like, you know, where some people would have a really strong opinion on that. Like, how does that space sit with you? Do you feel like people expect you to have strong opinions on these things?
Yeah, I think people do expect you to have a bit of a stronger opinion than what I do, but like there's some things in life that I just couldn't care about, and there's things that I'm really opinionated on. But that's probably one that I don't feel strongly either way. Like it's having a desired outcome in some ways in terms of creating engaging content and people seeing parasport and appreciating the athletic ability they're seeing in those videos. Not always seeing it on first watch, but when they watch it over again, you can't, like I do the same. I watch it and I have a laugh and then I go, far out, that's impressive. Like on the second watch, I'm seeing how that person is moving their body or how that sport is playing out. I'm like, that is impressive. Yeah. It's just the comment section I can't stand out. I don't even bother looking at it because it's just not my jam. Like maybe it's a snapshot of people, but it's also the keyboard warriors too who, yeah, it's just not my jam reading comments.
Have you ever gone into comment section of some of your own stuff?
Nah, not really.
I had a little flick through today.
Maybe
from when you were 21 on the attitude clip.
Yeah.
There is a lot of attention on how good looking you are. like there is a lot. You had the curls back then. You had the long sideys as well. Like that was basically 2/3 of all of the comments.
How
were
hot
like,
is this guy?
How hot is this guy? I'd love to meet him.
It was such a shame he's disabled, eh?
No, there was none of that. There was none of that.
No, I haven't looked at any of that stuff.
Okay, well, don't let Emma see it because green-eyed monster might come out.
She's redhead too, eh? It will be.
I want to move into the family stuff, and I want to start with, exactly how much have you looked into what caused the disability, and was it a factor when you decided to have kids? Was it something that could potentially pass on? Did you have to get that checked? Sorry if that's a really ignorant question.
No, it's because I'm a curious person anyway. So when I left high school, I'd started dating, and I just didn't know. So I started talking to a genealogist and was like, hey, look, this is my family history. This is my story. Like, should I expect my kids to turn out like me or what? Because I know some families who have got kids exactly the same impairment as them as parents. And it's, pretty much the genealogist was like, hey, look, short of doing a lab test of you, he's like, there would be no reason why your children would turn out with a disability. And so that was just sort of it, really. And there was no real reason given to mum and dad why I turned out like this either. It was just something that happened. And probably looking back, you'd probably be able to pick it up these days. There might be an amniotic band or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I did look into it. But this is pre-meeting Emma and just, I guess doing my due diligence, I guess. Not that it would have changed how I would have felt about having kids, but it might have changed how a partner might have felt with kids. So I was curious and I wanted to know so that if in a serious relationship, the conversation came up, I'd have some sort of speaking from a space of knowledge.
Mm. And so you get the check and you're all clear, and then you have your first son, Beau. Is there, despite getting the all clear, is there still any anxiety about what's coming down the
20-week scan? Yeah, I was like, have you got fingers? You got yeah, sweet, cool.
Yeah.
There was definitely like a half check there, but it was more a bit of a laugh rather than actually sort of any anxiety or like nothing would change in terms of how we treat Beau or how we prepare for anything like that. I guess the anxiety for me, well, I don't know if it's anxiety, but nervousness around having children with a disability, like me with a disability, and being it was around the like, how am I going to be able to hold a baby, hold a newborn? Like I'd never really held a newborn until Beau. and understanding how was I going to be able to change a nappy. Again, never changed a nappy until I had my own children. So a lot of nervousness around how was I going to be able to cope. But also me and Ems had spoken, she's asked her, is there anything that you think you might need for us having kids? And I was like, I need a sturdy cot, because when I lean on things, I don't want it to bloody collapse under me. So we got some hearty wooden furniture that wasn't going to jump across the room if I leaned into it, or if I'm putting a baby down in there with my legs on, it wasn't going to collapse under me, and I was going to squash bloody poor Bo.
Yeah. How difficult is it to change a pooey nappy?
Stephen's never changed one in his life. That's why he's asking. He's asking for tips after there's 4 kids.
It's all right. Yeah, no, it's all good actually.
Yeah.
And I don't know what exactly started when they're wriggly. It's bloody hard for everyone, right? And then there'll be times where I'm like, Ems, I need help.
That's what I'm thinking. At times I've got both knees on the legs and I'm holding them down, and it's a real wrestle.
Sometimes I get side saddled and put my stump across Sonny's chest and just sort of be like, no, I need you to stay. This one's bloody particularly.
We've got a wrestler.
Yeah. I guess just you come up with your system, right? And I can put your the rest of their legs against my arm, and I can get a wipe. Wipes being quite floppy, right? They can just fold around your hand. You don't need fingers to grip the wipe. It can just sort of rest against it, so you're just rubbing as you go to sort of do the clean up the best you can. You've changed a few nappies in your time, I bet. None of them are, or not none, but some of them aren't perfect, and you're just like, right, well, that's the best you're going to get. Next one.
Yeah. Similar to your own parents, though, there's no real manual that you can take off the shelf and read. It's all learn by doing.
Yeah.
And you decide to go around again, and that second birth coincides with the 2020 Olympics, where you make the decision not to go to Tokyo. And I think potentially you were staring down the barrel of being one of the only, a handful of Kiwi athletes to represent New Zealand at two events at the same games.
Yeah.
And an easy decision to make, I've seen you describe it as, but the hardest decision at the same time.
Yeah. I get 2 parts. So before having kids, I spoke to some friends who had a disability and who had children, just to sort of understand what had they done. And it was incredibly refreshing to hear Chris talk about how you'll be amazed at how the kids adjust to your impairment and you don't even do anything special. He was in a chair and he was like, honestly, bro, I'll put my arm down there and they will come and lean over his arm for him to pick them up, put them on his lap. And small things that he would have put on his wheelchair that would help him sort of be able to push around. It would be essentially a stroller on his lap or a front pack, but connected to his chair. Stuff like that I'd never seen before, and it was really cool, but also just gave you a few ideas as to there are bits of equipment that can help you, and it's not invasive or massive bits of equipment. Sometimes pieces of equipment attached to disability can be bloody big and ugly, and it's not my jam.
Like a set of ball bags on the back of someone's wheelchair.
That's my jam.
that sort of thing.
And then with Delilah's birth leading into the Tokyo Games, we tried so hard to get the Wheelblacks qualified, and we'd done it, and I was a massive part of that. Played a lot of minutes, but also something that I had tried for 2012, 2016 and failed, and we finally got it on the 3rd time, and over the moon, so stoked. And then to pull out last minute, it just sucked really. It's to be in tears, calling your teammates, telling them, and it's funny, and this is the difference between team sport and individual sport. I called as many of the rugby boys as I could before I was running out of tears. I was like, oh fuck, I can't do this anymore. But that's how much it meant to me and how much it meant to the team when they're in tears talking back to you, and they understand your why, but it's I guess that you don't quite realize how big of a part of the team you are until you get met with that sort of emotion to your emotion. It would be real easy for them to be like, oh, that sucks, but we'll just carry on. So definitely, I think I knew in my heart of hearts I couldn't go, but I really wanted to give it as long as possible to actually be potentially viable. And at that time, right, COVID and everything was moving and things were changing week to week, so it was just a case of having to hold off as long as possible to hope for the best. As it turns out, I probably wouldn't have hopped on that plane anyway had I not pulled out early, because the day before we were meant to be flying out, I was going to the doctors with Delilah, who was quite sick, and they were super close to a hospital admission for her anyway. So at that time, you don't know when you might see them again. You're not going to hop on a plane and leave your super sick baby in COVID land. I mean, like, what am I going to do? I don't know, but you want to be there to support your partner. And this is 9 days post-cesarean for Ems too. Like, she's not physically, jumping around the room or anything like that. So your role as dad became probably more important at that point in time.
Those are such beautiful words about the team camaraderie there. I can see how sort of emotional you still are about it. Like, it's so powerful. It's so cool.
We, me and Hayden, me and H, we roomed together a lot, and he was probably the worst of the lot. He'll hate me saying it, but it was, we're like, I don't know, we're the two bros on court, right? We've been through a lot together on court, and we've always got each other's back, and it's been really cool. But like, he was probably the worst phone call I had, like the hardest to do, because of how, I guess, just that on court connection you've got. But also Hayden's a big family man too, so he totally got it, and there was no. And that's the beautiful thing about rugby team. There's been no judgment. There's been no sort of like, no niggle about it, nothing like that. It's been, that sums rugby up, right? That we are such a family team, and we do care about each other. And like I say, we're all friends, but it's kind of, that acceptance of my decision was very appreciated.
Yeah, I can understand why you have to accept. Family comes first. Family always comes first. And then you've had another one. So 3 under 5 is one of the most rewarding but most challenging times of anyone's life. Like, what does that situation look like, and how has it changed you as a person, and what do your days look like now?
We're organised chaos. No, we're just, life is very different. Training life is funny because I get up in the morning, swimming being an early, like generally morning sport, right? Like, I'll get up, I'll go training, I'll come home when the kids have been awake for probably, I don't know, half an hour or so, and we're having breakfast together, and then getting them ready to be, getting them changed, and then I'm daycare dad. When Ems is working, I'd be taking them to daycare, she'd be shooting off to work, I'd be drop off home, working my day job, and then be back to pick them up after daycare, and then Ems will be home from work after that. Very normal, right? Like, hardly like a sexy athlete buddy life, but that's just the realities of family, right? And then I do sport around it. So yeah, very different to the like train in the morning, gym straight after, rest, sleep, rah, like, just you got to get on and keep doing because those kids need you to show up.
Yeah, did those kids change your perspective of sport?
Yeah, totally. Context game.
In what sense, specifically?
You might have had the worst training of your life, and you come home and they're just so pumped to see you. Every day you're met with a bloody excited daddy. And whether it be a running across the room, like, I don't know, there's something about that really fills your bucket up. And all of the sporting stuff that you've done is all by the by, and all that you care about is that moment with your kids. And I think too, like the context of sport and having kids, seeing your partner go through, putting their body through hell, you're having a cesarean, you're relatively bloody serious, but he cut your guts open, they cut through a whole heap of stuff and the being a supportive partner after that, how important that is to you and your own value set, because how would you feel if someone ditched you when you really needed help? And that's the Paralympic example of Tokyo, right? Like, 9 days post, I was going to jump on a plane and shoot off. Em's parents come up, help us, but it's sometimes you just want your partner there, right? And the kids too, right? It still happens now, like, and the kids are getting older, and Em says it like, they just want their dad. When you're not there, they want dad. And that's really hard to hear, because you don't want to feel like you're ditching them, but to them, they could see it like that. I don't think they actually do feel that, but it still makes you want to be home with them.
That's so good, Cam. That's so good. Fuck, that speaks to me. The other thing Emma said is that how they've normalised, like, the disability space, and they'll be playing in the sand pit and building ramps and things, because they need access. Can you tell us about that?
Well, she was also saying that they only hold her finger.
Yeah.
They don't know how to hold a hand.
Yeah, I've only got a thumb, right? So like the kids, when they're holding my hand across the road or whatever it is, they're doing all the heavy lifting, they're holding my hand. So they'll hold my thumb, but when it comes to holding Emma's hand, they don't know what to do when she wraps her whole hand around theirs. Which is really like, it's totally like you just don't even know what adaptations the kids are making or what they're not even seeing, right? Like disability is not even a real thing for them. I don't think that it's just they're seeing people first, which is, like I say, exciting for the future of New Zealand, that you're getting more and more people seeing people first before the disability. With Bo building sandcastles, we're down in Coromandel on a family holiday with Ems's parents and siblings, and we go to the beach, and there's Bo building these sandcastles with a bucket, and he is stoked as, you know, as kids are. They've got this bloody massive plan of what's going on in their head and this what they've got going on. And he's built the sandcastle and he's doing this. I was like, what are you doing there? And he's like, I'm building a ramp so Uncle Gav and Uncle Robbie can come around. I was like, oh yeah, where are they going to go once they're in there? Well, there's a ramp inside and it's going to do this. They can come and sit up here and then they can go down here. And like he had this whole story built up, and he had just built a ramp so that they could get in, because he's seen us bump Robbie upstairs at our home. And like, it's kind of, I just love the I guess the rawness or the genuineness of, he wanted Uncle Gav and Uncle Rob to be able to come into his castle. I was like, what about the other rugby boys? Yeah, H and Maya and Toddy and Mad Dog. And like he rattled through the whole team of people who he wanted to come into his castle and play. But I just love the consideration for access for them. It's just not fed by us at all. And that's what's so cool.
Yeah. But is that a little bit of the genesis of Seeing is Believing, the campaign that you started or you champion?
Part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit to those that maybe not be familiar with
around Seeing is Believing?
Yeah.
It's a program in schools. Paralympics New Zealand run it, deliver it. They get parasport champions to come into the school and essentially educate the school on people with a disability. Parasport as well. I guess it normalises a little bit of impairment. Some of the para champions bring in their sporting equipment, have a little look at it, see it in action, understand how, I don't know if this is great terminology, but like a broken body or a different body can still be as athletic as someone else by using this piece of equipment. I mean, wheelchair rugby is a great example of, you get someone who's pretty highly disabled and then you chuck them in a rugby chair and you can't see their impairment. You see physicality, masculinity, you see expression, you see power, you see strength, but you see them in a day chair and you probably don't see that. So that's what a little bit of Seeing is Believing is about, like teaching youth, really, primary school kids about disability and parasport, and trying to help them see past it. And the funny thing, it's such a good age to do it because they all do, right?
Yeah.
They spend 5 minutes like throwing all of the like uncensored questions at you about your disability, and they're like, okay, cool, that's Cam, and then they move on. I've had it at daycare drop off. Like they're just like, well, you got robot legs. I'm like, yeah, I do. Cool, eh? Like, why do you have robot legs? And I was like, so yeah, I'll tell them, like, oh, I wasn't Mormon.
Shut up, Zach.
These poor kids will be scared out of the bloody water.
Mate, this has been fucking epic. Right, home straight. We're going to release this before the Paralympics, so you are off on a plane in 2 weeks. What's your outlook? What do you go there with goals? Do you go there with expectations? What? Tell me
to the
about
Paralympics?
Yeah.
Yep, definitely goals. Want to hit a podium. That's like the performance goal, but I guess alongside that's first time as dad, right? I want my kids to see dad do something really cool. Very realistic to the one day having a dad with a disability isn't going to be cool, and potentially kids will pick on them for it or something like that. So I'm really passionate about giving them something to be proud of and to them to see dad do something really cool. And if that's a podium finish, that's a podium finish. And if it's just seeing me represent New Zealand and carry the flag into the opening ceremony or represent New Zealand with pride and whatever it is, right? Like I just want them to be super proud of me, see me do something really cool, but also see all these weird and wonderful disabilities that we do not see in New Zealand and see what is truly capable with the human body. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. The goals are like, there's a performance goal, but there's like a bigger picture goal around the kids. And we've all got stories, or you hear stories of what dad did when they were younger, or mum and dad did, oh, we used to do that, or whatever. But this like sort of like beautiful point where the kids can still see it and should still have a living memory to carry with them for a long time, of seeing me do something different and cool.
I fucking love that goal. That's such fuel. But before you get there, you've got to navigate what, a
Long
12-hour
haul.
flight to France?
17 hours
17,
to Dubai.
and the rest?
Yeah, 12 hours. What do you think France is?
Turbojet. Yeah, and you're taking the 3 kids
Yep.
with
Yep.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first hurdle, right? It's the first part of holding camp is getting to bloody Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're flying a couple of days earlier than the team, and like this is Swimming New Zealand's been bloody awesome at just being like, what do you need to turn up on the day and be good to race? And I was like, I can't just ditch Ems and the kids for 6 weeks. Like they're like, do you want to bring them to the holding camp? I was like, I'd love to. They're like, cool, done. And so we've just gone ahead and planned with it. And so part of the planning has led us to me, Ems, the kids, my parents will fly 2 days before the team. Have a couple of days stopover in Dubai, and then join the team for the rest of the leg into Spain, and then we'll have our own accommodation to, I guess, give the kids their space. You know, not all athletes want kids around them, and like I wouldn't want to put that on the team, right? They're there for their own needs, and it's not really, you wouldn't want something that's in your control to affect someone else's performance for sure. So it's bit of a trick to get there.
Do you think? Are you thinking? Oh, I'm assuming you're not thinking beyond the games, but just in talking to you, you've got so much to offer. Like, do you have a professional avenue once you stop competing? Do you have a dream job that you would like to do after sport?
So like I've trained as a journalist. I went to university and did Bachelor of Communications and worked as a sports journo for a couple of years up in Northland. Loved it.
Whangārei Advocate?
Northern Advocate.
Northern Advocate, yeah. That's
Loved
the one.
it.
That's a well-trodden path, that one.
Yeah. Actually really enjoy the job. Like it was very much my jam. At the moment I work for Swimming New Zealand in like a development and participation space, like sport development, athlete development and participation space, like trying to help essentially find the next version of someone like myself or someone like Dame Pascoe and make their journey easier than what ours was in terms of opportunity and less fights that their parents or arguments that their parents have to have or coaches have to have, and have a proper pathway for them. And we're at that point now, which is really cool.
What are the numbers like in disability swimming?
Or
disability sport?
76, I think we've got classified in New Zealand swimming in clubs, and there's another 120 who have ticked a box to say they've got a medical condition or like a disability of some sort that we don't know whether it would meet eligibility criteria or not. It's more just there's a potential follow-up there, and some of those we've followed up and there's no opportunity there or no further movement with it, but that's pretty good. When I started the job 6 years ago, there was 23 classified paraswimmers in the country.
Is it a small enough pool that you would know all of them by name?
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
And that must be an interesting dynamic, because I imagine you're training with some in high-performance camps, bringing some together as well. They're all trying to take your spot.
Oh, they can have it. If they're good enough, they can have it.
Yeah.
I look back at what I've done as an older athlete and I go, I say that like I'm bloody over the hill, right? Like, I never had any kaumata on the swim team when I started. There was no one to sort of show you the ropes or give you green light when it's a good time to sort of let your hair down or when enough's enough. So I've been really keen to give back to the swim team on that side of things and help the youngsters either navigate that space or, just help them be more comfortable in that space. I'm not the back of the bus rugby lad who wants to be, don't talk to me, like I'm way more supportive than any of that. So it's kind of cool to be helping them. So if you're talking dream jobs, like I'm in a pretty sweet spot with it. Like love the performance side, but I get little tasters into that, and particularly still being an athlete, it'll be quite difficult, I think, to be moving anywhere higher up in terms of performance role.
What's the range in terms of your sport of athletes? Because when you started as a teenager, were there some right at the other end of the experience scale as well, from not here in New Zealand, but across the field?
Globally, there's a massive spectrum of age. We all give me cheek that I'm the old fella on the team at 34, but I race against dudes who are 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
There's a Spanish dude who's in his mid-60s. Like, he'll be on a bloody pension. And he's got 30 years on me. That's the crazy thing, that there is a lot more longevity in para sport than what people realize, and particularly the lower down the classification scale you get, the potential longer career you have, because you just do not find people with that severity of disability who people acquire it, right? Like, you don't plan to go out and have a car accident, end up as tetraplegic or whatever, have a brain injury and not be able to use bits of your body. Like, people come into para sport at different times of their life, and the it's not as ageist as sports. And Kiwis probably think once you hit the other side of 30, you're of retirement soon. But actually in parasport, that's not the case. You can go quite a long time.
Another 4 or 5 games for you then, right?
You realise swimming's quite hard on the body, right?
Another 20 years of staring at that black line at 5:30 in the morning.
I'm just going to round us out with a few words from Jesse. He says, I think for Cam, the most impressive thing about him is that he's managed to do swimming while having a full-time job with Swimming New Zealand, as well as run a farm and raise a family, and do all of these things while having no limbs. It's a lot for anyone to take on, and the fact that he's been able to do all of them at a really high level is super impressive. As I'm reading that, I'm just looking at that last word. I really wish you'd put super inspiring.
Yeah. We should have just changed it.
But yeah, I just want to say before Shay wraps us up, I'm going to give Shay license to do one of his outros because he hasn't done one for a while.
I haven't written one word.
But it's been a real joy sharing this time with you. It's been so cool. Like I said, we came to it with a really inquisitive mindset. I've learned a lot. And I wish you all the best for your trip to France. Bring home some medals. But yeah, it's been really cool. So thanks for coming and joining us.
No worries. Appreciate it. It's been really cool. Hopefully you've learned some stuff. Hopefully people listening have learned some stuff. And yeah, I'm always I like doing some public speaking and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to always look at it of if someone's taken away, if one person's taken away something, either learned something or something's really connected with them, then it's been well worthwhile.
Well, the thing that's really stood out to me is, when we asked you why you continue to do what you do, and your short answer was it's balance. And it's really evident in having the conversation with you that balance has been a constant through your life, whether it was a balance of a loving set of family and friends in Whangārei that managed expectations and allowed you to do what you do, to the balance of finding yourself as a young man in the elite sporting, environment, to then continuing that balance as you progress through your life journey and have now become, a very loving husband and a father, but also like a role model for others. That balance is really evident to see. And what's impressive is how that balance hasn't been consistent the whole way through. I imagine it's been like a tightrope where sometimes you're way more balanced on the performance side and other times you're balanced on the lifestyle side. And I think that's a real great lesson for anybody to take away about finding that balance in your life that allows you to succeed at whatever you put your mind to at that particular moment in time.
We're not talking just sport here, right?
100%.
It's just life.
100%. And the fact that we can use the sporting lens to magnify yours, but yeah, those lessons just transfer into everyday life. So it's been a very impressive story.
It's inspiring?
No, I was going to leave. Just leave it there.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, Cam.
Thanks, guys.